大家好，我是优视频道的制作人和纪录片导演徐亮。2024年是优视频道创办的第10个年头，我们6月1号在加州硅谷举行了一个10周年的庆典活动，当天各界来宾来了差不多2000人。那庆典活动上，我们放映了一个16分钟的影片，影片名字叫《10个人的10年》。这个影片提炼了我对10位在各自领域有杰出贡献的华人的视频的专访。这10个人各自分享了他们对美国华人生存、生活和生命现状的一些观察。他们也分享了一些他们对我们这个社区未来的一些期望和洞见。那我把这部影片《10个人的10年》呢，就放在本期视频的这个结尾哈。然后这一期视频的这个主体呢，其实就是只是10位中的1位受访者的一个完整的采访。那我们这个节目开放麦呢，最近也会开始对过去的一些内容呢进行一些梳理，进行节目的一些改版。那作为制作人呢和主持人，那徐亮也承诺会跟未来的嘉宾呢进行更为诚恳的、知性的、个人化的和趣味性的这种深度的对谈。我希望能够为社区提供一个真诚、勇敢的、独特的、有质感的这样的一个谈话节目。非常感谢您一直以来的支持和关注，希望我们继续一起能够为创办一个海外华人的精神家园，让我们一起说真话，说真心话，追求这个世界和我们内心的真相。诚恳的希望您继续订阅我们的新开放麦频道，也推荐给志同道合的其他的朋友，谢谢。
I'm Maylin Lee. I wear what I want, say what I want, 24/7, 365.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rosalie Chang. I was the voice of Maylin Lee in the Disney Pixar film Turning Red. Maylin Lee is a 13-year-old girl who undergoes this huge transformation in Turning Red as she begins to navigate all these aspects of her life, her red panda, her mom, her friends, and her love for Four Town. To understand this role, I did not see anything of this character, just the script. But the director Domi Shi was brilliant in informing me aspects of the character that I didn't know about, like how she was, how she would say a line, how she acted around her family.
So I noticed that the Chinese name of this film is called 青春变形记. Do you understand this? What does it mean?
My mom translated it for me, but I kind of forgot. It's something about spring, I remember.
Does it fit, do you think?
I would say that title definitely fits Turning Red because it is about Malin Lee going through this whole metamorphosis of becoming this red panda and going through a lot of changes in her whole furry self and her emotions and just everything going on.
So how do you deliver the emotion depth or the depth of layers of character just by only by using your voice?
I would say at first, just being able to portray her emotion through voice was really difficult because this was my first voiceover job. But I think through a lot of guidance, I was able to really bring her out. And because I worked on this character for almost 4 years, I think I was able to 100% know her entire character, her entire being, and being able to understand her more deeply to be able to portray all her emotions as accurately as I can.
I noticed in the film the character when she's still in human form, she wear glasses, right? It's kind of like a stereotypical Asian good student. But I don't. Do you think how different you are with the character?
You mean myself?
Yeah.
Mm. I would say there's a lot of aspects I relate to a lot. I don't know if we're necessarily that similar as people because I think I went through a very similar experience as May did, going through changes and everything. But emotionally, as like herself, I think originally when I got the role, my instinct was to just act like how I would say the lines. But then, but then as time went on, I started to realize how May is her own character and how she has this like lovely confidence I wish I had. And she has this bold, unapologetic, she's not afraid to stand up for people. And that's something I personally very much admire.
Are you a personally outgoing people in real life?
I'm pretty outgoing in that whenever I want something or I have a goal in mind, I like go 100%, just like May does. So in that way, I do really relate to May.
I see. So, how did this opportunity presented to yourself, and does it has anything relate to your past experience?
Mm. For me, my what happened was the way I got this role was my agent just sent me the audition and I recorded it in my room and then my mom sent it in. And a few days later, they're like, "Hey, we want to see you a little bit more, so here's a callback." And I got to do my callback at the Pixar recording studio, and it was wonderful. And that's when I realized just how big this project was. And after the callback, I remember during the callback, they tested me with taking direction to see how well I could take it. And after that, they told me that I booked it, but not officially the role of May in Turning Red. In fact, her name wasn't even May. I believe it was Faye. And it wasn't even called Turning Red. The project name was just called Red. And what happened was they originally just wanted me to do scratch recording for Turning Red, where they just needed a temporary voice to animate off of because they were still figuring out characters, designs, production, everything. And so after 2 years of doing that, they finally told me, Rosalie, we want you to be the official voice of Mei Lee in Turning Red. And it was just the happiest day of my life.
Wow, 2 years, huh? So you got do the scratch recording, then 2 years later, the feature film really arrived. Wow,
Mhm.
but you didn't know that, right? During the 2 years, it's not a like a very suffering experience, no, right?
It definitely was not anywhere near suffering,
Okay.
just because it was such a fun experience. I love voice acting. I love film. I love being able to be in front of the microphone and just speak. And I remember I was always scared that, oh, what if I didn't book this? I'd be devastated. But my parents always told me, you know what? This is such a great experience nonetheless. And you're going to have so much fun doing this. And just try your best because that's really all you can do. And so that's what I did. I just tried my best and it worked out for me in the end.
But you mentioned that you have an agent already at that time. So that means you actually had been working towards that. But describe that experience, like the
Mm.
learning. How did you start it?
Yeah, I started just taking acting classes when I was 9 years old after I told my parents that I wanted to be an actor. And as time went on, my acting teacher was a wonderful guy telling me, oh, you get a manager, agent, everything. And at first I got some auditions, but nothing really came out of it. And so it was definitely really disappointing. And so I sort of had to develop this mindset that walking into an audition and just expecting that you're not gonna hear anything from them. And so this was actually one of my first voiceover auditions. And so it just so happened 6 months prior, my mom found a voiceover coach, and I just started training with him. And after 6 months, that's when I got my audition for Turning Red. And so I think I was really lucky in timing where I was prepared enough where I had some training in voice acting before getting that audition.
Oh, so you loved acting since a child, right? But you specifically trained for voice acting. How did that happen?
Mm. Yes, I loved acting since I was a child just because I don't know. My parents, well, my dad specifically allowed me to watch a lot of TV growing up because he loved watching TV and film when he was younger. And so he was like, "Yeah, watch as much as you want." And just seeing everything, all the actors, what they do, I just thought, "Wow, that looks so much fun. I want to do that too." And my parents were so lovely and supportive that they're like, "Okay, yeah, you can try it. We'll let you just try it a little bit." And so originally it was just live action acting with all the scenes and scripts and with your face on camera. But then my mom was like, "You know what? You should just branch out a little bit more, trying some other things." And so she just Googled voiceover coaches and just found the first one that popped up basically. And I started training with him. And yeah, I'm still with him to this day. He's been such a great coach.
You mean your mom too, huh? Describe the coach. Like, is she or he live this in this area, like San Francisco Bay Area, or?
While I started acting, my mom was like, "You know what? You should have a proper chance of acting. So we should do it in Los Angeles because in San Francisco Bay Area, there's not a lot of opportunities for acting." So my mom would start to drive me from the Bay Area to Los Angeles back and forth for like, I don't know. I would stay in Los Angeles for 4 to 6 months a year, just trying to do acting. So that's how we found. Yeah.
But I imagine it's very hard to manage. I mean, how you have to constantly commute between these two metropolitan areas. How did you manage it?
Oof. I mean, for me at first, it was definitely difficult because I had to like leave my dad and my brother, and it was really sad. But I was just so appreciative of my mom making that effort to drive 6 hours back and forth. She's so strong and she was so supportive. And I'm just really grateful for her because she she just had to endure. She had to drive me to all my acting classes. She had to take care of me. She had to make sure I was still doing my schoolwork while doing all this acting stuff. And it was definitely hard to adjust, but I think after a while we sort of got into this little rhythm of routine that we got used to.
So your mom is like a prophet. So how can she see the way, like the path for you? I mean, it's such a big investment, right? Tell me about the frequency. Like in during those 6 or to 4 months, how frequent you have to commute between this, and what do you do? What did you do in South San Francisco? Like you live there, or you rent a house there? How's that?
Oh, I mean, in like Bay Area, San Francisco area, I just stayed at my house. But in Los Angeles, we lived with friends. We lived in motels. We kind of lived everywhere. We sort of experienced it all. She had to drive. She drove a lot. She had to drive maybe every 3 months. She would have to drive back and forth like twice, or every 6 months, like 4 times. It was a lot. I'm definitely very appreciative of her.
On top of the voice coaching thing or training, what else your
Mm.
parents have done for you, and looking back, you feel like very appreciated and very helpful.
My mom invested so much time, and I always wonder, I was like, knowing how risky the entertainment industry is, I always question why she let me do it. And her reasoning was just that she wanted to give me an opportunity. She was like, everything you want to try, I want to let you do it, and I want you to have that opportunity to go 100%. And so she did not foresee any sort of success for me in acting. She just like, "You know what, if you want to try it, try it." And I'm just so lucky and so fortunate to have gotten the right roles at the right time. And that, you know what, my mom believed in me, and that's where it sort of led me. And in Southern California, or in Los Angeles specifically, my mom would just take me to acting classes and just train, meet with agents, meet with managers, meet with casting directors, audition, just sort of all the above, whatever we can do.
Was there in that circle lots of Asian girls like you? when you do the
No,
audition and stuff? Describe the experience when you auditioned.
there really wasn't that many Asian girls from all the places, whether it was my classes, my auditions, everywhere. I feel like if it's definitely a very unconventional path for an Asian to take. So I was always the only Asian girl in like all the classes I went to. And I remember when I was meeting agents and managers, a lot of them were just like, we don't have anyone like you. And I was like, really? Wow, that's so interesting. So I think I had to attribute that to my success a little bit, where because I was like one of like the first Asian girls that a lot of managers and agents saw, that's like they just wanted to sort of expand their repertoire. So I was there.
What's the highlight of this? Either I don't know, is premiere or uh, other events like you probably attended that make you feel like yeah, it's a showbiz, right? It's a kind of like a glory, fame, and the things.
Mm.
Yeah, you have tasted that, right? Describe that feeling the first time, like going to that places like that.
Yeah, I think the first time it really hit me was the world premiere of Turning Red in Los Angeles. Because previously we did have a premiere in London, but I think I was so sleepy that I don't really know what happened. But in the world premiere, it was just huge. Just everything was big. The red carpet. There were so many people. I didn't know what was happening. I was just letting the publicists lead me wherever I'm supposed to go. And that was the first time. I mean, that was the first time I really felt like all the fruits of my labor sort of like came out because it was all worth it because that was just something I never would have dreamed of experiencing. My 9-year-old self definitely dreamed, oh, of stardom and everything, but that was my really first taste of it. But I think the one thing that I always tell people when they ask me about what celebrities have you met and everything. I was so fortunate to be able to go to the 2023 Oscars, and that was actually insane. I don't think I could have even fathomed the idea of going to the Oscars when I was 9 years old and I was thinking about it. But the fact that I got to take my dad to the Oscars and we got to meet so many incredible people or surrounded by so many people, and it was just a beautiful experience, and I still just to this day cannot fathom any of that happening.
You mean 2023, right? The year of everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yes, it was also a good coincidence that Everything Everywhere All at Once was up for so many awards because I got to see the cast, and I've actually met a lot of the cast because we were all in the show American Born Chinese. And so it's just so cool being able to see them win so many awards. And it was like I felt so represented as an Asian American. And I think the timing couldn't have been better.
Oh yeah, that year is kind of Asian year, right? Like a Michelle Yeoh. I think I saw a video. You sit with Sandra Oh, right? Then tell me about that. Like maybe she's one of the pioneers, right? Like Asian actress got huge success in Hollywood. Like, did you learn anything from her? Like, what's your interaction with her?
Yeah. So I was able to do the whole press tour of Turning Red with Sandra Oh. And that was my first sort of taste of interviews and press. And it was definitely really scary and intimidating because it's just a bunch of people just asking questions, questions, questions. And I'm like, do I know all the answers to everything? And so, but I was very fortunate to be next to Sandra Oh, who's a very seasoned actor who is very, very aware of all of these press tours and knows exactly what she was doing. And so she gave me so much advice in telling me how to avoid a question, how to answer questions, how to sort of present yourself. And she was just watching her do these press interviews was just seeing like a master at her craft, and it was so impressive. And I'm so grateful to have got to do the whole tour with her.
Okay, this one is pretty official. Like just like wrote. Over the past decade, how have you seen your cultural identity and the roots influence your choices in life or the image you project to others? How did it affect you?
Mm. I think as a kid, my cultural identity definitely was something I never really considered because I don't know. I think I tried to avoid it a lot, especially around other people. And for the longest time, I didn't want to associate too much with it. But then as I grew up, as I started to discover more Asians in media like J-pop, K-pop, K-dramas, C-dramas, all of that, and just seeing Asians in the media, that really encouraged me and that really told me, oh wow, wait, there's they look like me, and it just got me so excited. And when I was with my Asian friends, we can like laugh about Asian things and stereotypes and everything. And I think that's when I feel the most authentically myself. And I feel so grateful that my parents very much are also in touch with their cultural identity, and they definitely passed that on to me. And I'm very glad because I don't know who I'd be without it.
Yeah, but do you realize that maybe part of you still, like, how to say it, inherit something from your Asian parents? What is that if you have to define it?
Ooh, what did I inherit from my Asian parents? I would say that I inherited their grit and their passion and their motivation to just chase after what you want. They're very much like, hey, Rosie, if you want it, you have to go get it. You have to go fight for it. And so ever since then, I've just been very strong-willed. And if I see something I want, I'll try my best to go get that.
That's a great answer. So tell me about, just remember 10 years ago, what were you like? And how have you been involved? Just give me a brief
Mm,
narrative about your story. 10
yeah.
years.
Wow. I was 8 years old 10 years ago, and I would say eight-year-old me was definitely very timid, very shy, couldn't really talk to adults. It was definitely difficult, and I just like to stay within my little family and didn't want to go out too much. And compared to now, I feel like I've been able to branch out, and the whole acting process really taught me and forced me to learn how to sort of speak to other people and help me grow my confidence a little more. And it's been a long journey, but I've definitely improved and changed over time.
So what do you see in 10 years of yourself?
Ooh, what do I see 10 years within now? So then I'll be 28. Oh, that's an interesting I hope at 28 I would have already graduated college, of course. I would have already interned. And I think I want to be some sort of like I want to continue acting, of course, but I definitely want to stay within the entertainment industry, whether it's production coordinating, casting, public relations, any of that, I'd be so happy with. And I do, I do hope to intern somewhere so I can get that opportunity to really taste everything that goes on behind the screen.
We are a Chinese media. Even in America, we still serve the first generation immigrants. So most of our program are in either Mandarin or Cantonese language. In your eyes, I know probably you don't see this kind of content much, but do you think any value in our work? Maybe sometimes we connect people like our second, third generations occasionally, right? Probably we can build a bridge. We don't know, but we're trying. Can you comment on our role, like media? in a Chinese or language. Yeah, what that values to you?
I would say it's definitely so valuable because media is sort of what connects people and informs people what's going on in the world. And especially for first gen immigrants, like my parents are first gen immigrants, and that's something that I can never relate to. But it's such a universal experience for all immigrants. And to be able to connect with others and see what others are going through media, I think it's so important.
What do you see the documenting a group of people? Does that value in this society, or because we still a minority, right? Do you think any value in documenting our own lives?
I would say absolutely there's value in documenting our own lives because I feel like our lives are so different and we have our own culture that only us Asians know about. And I think it's important that the whole world gets to understand what it's about and because it's so different. And I think it'd be really good to just inform people about that
All
through
right,
documenting.
thank you. So, what are you studying now? Like in at UCLA?
At UCLA, I'm studying communications with a film minor.
I see. Probably, I hope you can write more story of like Asian American stories, right? Because I still think we are underrepresented. Maybe because culturally we aiming more towards like engineering, science, like, right? I'm really glad like your great success, and I hope you can broaden our territory in this country.
Yeah, I really hope I can continue telling stories, telling Asian stories in the media because I think we're definitely going towards a good place. I think there's been more Asian creators coming up, but I don't think it's enough, and I'm really excited to see more and more people see our stories.
All right, so last one. What's your definition of dream involved? Like, what message do you wish to impart about chasing one's dreams based on your own journey? Like, because our event's theme is there's the impossible is nothing, pretty much similar to Nike's slogan, but we have this similar, like, impossible is nothing. Like, what's your definition of dream?
My definition of dream is that you should chase anything you desire because if you don't chase it, you're never even going to come close to reaching your dream. And if you're still waiting for that opportunity to come, make sure you train, make sure you learn, make sure you continue working on your craft because when that opportunity does, you want to be 100% ready for that.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your time. I hope you have great success ahead.
Thank you. So nice meeting you, Liam.
Send regards to your mom too. Okay. All right.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
我觉得这10年在我的人生里面是一段非常难得、非常珍贵而且非常幸运的阶段。我有机会加入这个近代中国特长档案这个研究计划。那大家都晓得，这里面的计划最有名的就是两蒋日记。 蒋介石、蒋经国的日记，所以在过去这10年来，我几乎每一天都在学习，每一天都在成长。
我是加州伯克利大学的荣誉退休教授，我还是在学校里面带了学生跟 postdoc 2个 PhD 学生，4个 postdoc， 所以还是算相当忙碌的一个退休教授。
21世纪呢，确实是一个亚裔的世纪，我也可以说是一个华裔的世纪。 我在过去10年来，每一次我到各地去演讲，都会有年轻人来跟我谈他未来的抱负，跟他未来的这个理想。对我来讲呢，这是个非常非常大的一个 reward。
在这10年来呢，我想我走过一个，就说公司成长，然后呢卖掉，然后呢开始走向一个有更多时间贡献社会的机会，同时也看到了说这个人生中呢，到了某个年纪啊。 越来越觉得说，以前做的慈善事业、回馈社会、跟大家一起合作，有很多好朋友，这都是最珍贵的。
这10年来，我都是被追着跑的。一开始是自己创造了一个机会，好不容易有了一个很大的回收，马上又被债务追着跑。那我也在这其中里面感受到很多的心情的起起落落啦，甚至是那种跌落谷底又慢慢要往上爬的那种心情。
2014年的时候，我的作品当时在中国很多做成电视剧啊、电影啊，然后很多公司在做上市，然后都想把我签到他们公司去。
我记得呢，我刚刚来美国的时候，全美国只有大概2000多家、3000多家餐厅，中国的餐厅。现在呢，有5万多家。还有他们很多时候到那个中餐厅吃饭，他们都会用筷子。我觉得呢，是因为通过 Yan Can Cook 那个节目呢，影响了他们对中菜的兴趣。
I'm Rosalie Chang. I was the voice of Maylin Lee in the Disney Pixar film Turning Red. Maylin Lee is a 13-year-old girl going through this whole metamorphosis of becoming this red panda and going through a lot of changes. I worked on this character for almost 4 years. I think I was able to 100% know her entire character, her entire being, and being able to understand her more deeply.
My name is Karen Chen. I am a Team USA Olympic figure skater. I also a gold medalist in the team event at the 2022 Olympic Games. Currently, I am a junior at Cornell University on a pre-med track.
我想这10年来教会更深入的进入社区当中，不但是在华人的世界，更是在不同族裔的世界里面。
我们可以给美国所有的东西啊，你说我们这个族群里面有什么这个才能呢？是美国需要的，而我们族群里面没有的呢？
我在读书的时候，那个时候我感觉当时的在美国的华人，他们生活比较困苦，很多人也没有机会读书，那很多人也没有机会能够在社会上往上爬。
华人在这边的生活，我们都是很艰巨、很努力、很的奋斗。很多挑战，不是生出来就有钱，不是带钱过来的。
我来到美国的时候，我有一阵子会觉得很犹豫，为什么呢？我的理念就要打入美国主流，我要变成美国的一份子。可是呢，我也知道我就是华人哦，华人的文化、华人的食物，你叫我每天去吃美国食物，对不起啊，我从小就是喜欢台湾中国食物，所以呢，我觉得我们要做的就是要保留我们的文化。
When I first got into skating, because I was also enrolled in like a Chinese dance academy, and so I learned a lot of like Chinese cultural dance with fans and things like that. And I remember when I wanted to incorporate that on the ice, it was just kind of like different, like no one else has done it before.
我2个孩子现在都30多岁，他觉得他是美国人，但是他也很以他为中国人为荣，他反而很骄傲。我是美国人，我也是一个华裔美人。
逐渐的华人从过去只是留学生或者蓝领阶级 Chinatown 这种传统的这种形象，现在慢慢能够打进一些主流世界当中。
华裔的女性在各行各业中间还是非常能够让我们值得骄傲的，包括前任的劳工部跟交通部部长赵小兰部长，那么现在还有包括我们贸易的代表戴琪表现了非常强大的这个领导力。
除了政治领域之外，其实都有啦，电影界也有啊。
I was so fortunate to be able to go to the 2023 Oscars. It was also a good coincidence that Everything Everywhere All at Once was up for so many awards. And it was like I felt so represented as an Asian American.
我们是很骄傲的说我是华人，华人的文化，华人的优点。我们要把我们的精神拿出来，就是说今天华人的文化精彩的地方、棒的地方，我们也希望分享主流。
我觉得我们不应该讲我们没有融入主流。本地来看呢，就是 NVIDIA 和 AMD 的成功，刚好他们是华人的这个 CEO 的领导下面做到这样的成绩。那么有过这样的 high profile 的例子呢，我相信以后对整个 湾区职场上大家对华人的看待呢，应该会有改变，是好的改变。
回顾我们过去10年，我觉得我们未来还是充满着希望。
其实任何族群都是可以被别人批评，对吧？只要这种批评是善意的，不是攻击的。
我们中国文化讲的温良恭俭让，这个温良恭俭让每一样都不适合华人在美国社会奋斗出头。
I don't know if I can say if it's just my personality or because of my background and my upbringing, but I felt like I was always like very humble and quiet, and I always felt like my voice didn't matter.
所谓的刻板印象呢，也不能说是没有根据的。改变印象最好的办法就是我们用自己的成功来改变人家的印象。那首先呢，也可以改变自己。
There really wasn't that many Asian girls from all the places, whether it was my classes, my audition. It's definitely a very unconventional path for an Asian to take. I had to attribute that to my success a little bit.
美国本身的文化，它就是一个文化的大熔炉，保有自己的特色，又能够跟当地的那个互相尊重各种不同的文化的特色的那种合作，我觉得会是最美的。
有的时候它就是这种同样的素质，它的反面又是负面的。因为吃苦耐劳，他什么条件都可以接受，没有原则的吃苦耐劳也有的时候是产生很负面的结果。
目前呢，在华人的社区当中，精神世界里面，我觉得是非常缺乏基督教文化我是觉得我们应当可以有很多创新的方法来表达我们的信仰。
华人其实事业都做得很好，钱也都赚得很多，可是呢，常常不愿意走出社会来，然后帮忙别人，大家一起合作。
华人比较花多一点时间在家庭，但他们不太愿意花时间去参加公共事务，特别是跟政治有关的，他们避之唯恐不及。
如果说你今天没有坐在座位上讨论这个 agenda 的话，你可能自己就变成一个菜单。实际上以我们的人口来讲，我们应该有将近30位的这个代表来替我们做喉舌，替我们发音。那么在美国联邦政府的这高级的这个职位中间呢，也只有大概4%的亚裔。
Now that I'm in college, I realize that, okay, like my voice does matter. I can't just be quiet about things that I feel really passionate about and things that I want to stand up for. It's like a learning process, and then you learn and then you try a different way.
我觉得一个人对自己的自我的完善都是不能停止的，何况是一个族群。
所以有很多这个习惯呢，我们可以早一点改变。其实我们华人团体不少，甚至你也许可以说是太多。如果我们团体的数目少一点，但是每一个团体都更大一点的话呢，那么我想我们的力量其实是可以更大的，是不是？我们多合作，不一定都是要带头。
华人最糟糕的就是很喜欢说自扫门前雪。华人只要能够团结在一起，我相信我们的强处慢慢就会被人家 recognize。
我们必须要团结。不但是把我们所有的力量凝聚起来，而且要有一个 unified voice， 让主流社会了解到我们是一个非常团结的一个族群。
我觉得优势不但可以团结华人，而且呢，在未来10年呢，可以带着大家的梦想。
Media is sort of what connects people and informs people what's going on in the world.
When I was growing up,like if media didn't exist, I wouldn't be able to see other figure skaters, especially like Chris Yamaguchi or Michelle Kwan. I remember thinking like, oh, if she could do it, like maybe I could do it too. Like she's also an Asian American. I'm Asian American.
办一个事之前呢，那个美国华人呢，都是来自广东沿海的地方，所以呢，那个时候呢，华人的媒体还是不很成熟。
越是在异国他乡，越是抱着自己的这种语言更紧。
最重要先保留你的语言，语言是一个最重要的一个基本。语言是冲突的开始，可是也是和解的开始。
那么尤其是我在政府工作的时候呢，我可以借着华人媒体呢，介绍这个政府的这个资源跟政府的一些项目。
我们东方人对媒体的信心还是很大的，所以从这个角度讲呢，我是很希望媒体呢能够更积极地担任这个角色， 不是只是打广告，那么不是这个报告 fact 啊，当然更不用讲是不要这个报道不实的东西了。
就不要把自己当做一个纯中文媒体，而是一个在美国的中文媒体。
我们要成立一个基督教价值观的一个电视台，不是一个基督教电视台。
所以还是要有那个集合的力量，要存在，主题式的集合式的力量要存在。我觉得像你们现在做的这个事情，我觉得是一个很棒的一个概念。
那么华人媒体还有个很重要的呢，就是记录这个历史。even 在政府部门呢，他们有时呢都是需要借助华人媒体的一些资讯，来变成我们这个历史的一部分。
我们还需要更多有这样的人在媒体里面出现的华文的媒体，你叫他政论家也可以啊，你把他叫做一个思想家或者是 opinion leader 都可以。
优势还挺不错的，因为优势可能是因为你们有自己的信念。
其实每一个电视台或者每个媒体都有它背后的价值观在哪。如果说我们不从基督教价值观来报道一些事情的话，别人就无法看见事情的真相。
如果媒体不记录真相，不传播真相的话，那这个媒体是不会有生命的，它的也很快就会被人家发现，被人家摒弃。
一个电视台要存在10年呢，这个已经是非常有成就的一件事情。说老实话虽然我们也经过非常艰难的事，高山低谷也很多但是神真的带领我们真的走过来，还撑到现在。我相信很多人跌破眼镜，我们还存在。
做菜也好，做什么的，你自己在家里做得很好吃，没有跟人分享的话是没意思的，没有影响力的。所以呢，我们一定要打进一个主流，创作新的主流。
要坚定自己，认为该做就去做，一定会有支持的人，一定会有同好，一定会有效果。
这个世界更需要知道从神的角度来怎么看这个世界的事情，怎么看正在发生的事情我们应当做些什么。
媒体的角色从来就是很重要的，媒体不能跟着世俗化但是媒体要跟上时代。
比如我们现在很多一些政论的节目的方式，或者是生活的讨论的题，都是跟生活息息相关的东西的时候，大家会觉得是跟我生活有实际关系，而不是只是一些教义跟教条的。
所以我觉得媒体人自己绝对不能够堕落，绝对不能看清自己，因为你想做什么，你下决心做什么，事在人为。
过去10年，尤其是自媒体的这个产生，实际上是非常的重要，因为它有一些有用的讯息，但也有一些非常非常不好的一些 video。
当然，现在我们可以看到了，有不少的媒体，它真的是沉沦了。
有1000万个30秒，它会被打散在1000万的30秒里面其中之一，它也不代表它有观众。当整个世界都变成30秒的时候，你不要去当30秒，因为大家都那个样子，所以你就做30分钟的。
而且优势做的一些议题，他选的题材，我觉得都是对人、对社会很有意义的。
他的这个专业性，他的这个真实的报道，他的这个研究，他所花的一些时间跟精力，都是让我们能够值得信任的。
另一方面，我也看见优视也制作了越来越多美好的节目比如说我们很多的原创纪录片也得奖的。
我们是我们的观察者和记录者。
我们也有很多非常好的访谈节目今天遇见你，我们的点击率是非常的高的。
多关心人的事情，故事就会呈现的比较有趣味一点，有人味一点。
在美国呢，做这个华人媒体是真的不容易，但他对我们的贡献非常的大，所以我希望呢，我们也把它当做一个公益事件，让我们大家一起来支持这个优视频道。
未来10年，我觉得是我们可以开始发展的时刻。那事实上，我们现在在纽约已经有一个优视台，北美更多的地区华人比较集中之间，我们也可以照样像纽约的这个模式，我们应用在不同的这个城市当中，能够让当地的人也能够有机会能够收看这样基督教价值观的电视台。
祝福优视频道的第1个10周年，然后接下来还有第2个10周年，最好可以一直延续到第10个10周年、第100个10周年。祝福优视频道。